A manager harshly critiques a draft, so the employee spends hours over polishing routine assignments. Instead of focusing on delivering results, energy is spent managing impressions and avoiding mistakes. One overlooked issue compounds quietly until it becomes a setback for the whole project. By the time someone is willing to raise it, the cost has multiplied. These patterns don't show up in a single metric, but their impact accumulates across budgets, timelines, and morale. Now, contrast this with workplaces that foster authenticity and psychological safety. In these environments, employees don't waste energy masking stress or hiding challenges. They speak openly about obstacles, ask for help, and admit when something isn't working. Those behaviors save time and reduce costly errors. Authenticity here is not about lowering standards. It's about removing the fear that mistakes define worth. Work is done more efficiently because people are no longer duplicating effort to protect themselves. The outcome is practical. Projects finish faster, teams respond more adaptively, and trust builds momentum rather than friction. The evidence supports this contrast. Surveys from 2025 show that when employees feel supported in their mental health, they're far less likely to describe their workplace as toxic and less worried about future job loss. Strong relationships with managers in particular correlate with reduced fears about toxicity and uncertainty. Where shame suppresses contribution, authentic relationships lift it. This doesn't just benefit well-being, it links directly to measurable outcomes like retention and engagement. Teams where employees feel free to express themselves are steadier, less likely to churn, and better able to sustain high performance over time. Stress leave is another area where shame leaves a financial footprint. Polling shows strong associations between stigma-heavy environments and greater stress-related struggles. When employees feel unsafe disclosing those challenges, they either burn out in silence or leave altogether. The ripple effects are costly: redistribution of workload to other staff, slower project delivery, repeated onboarding, and the loss of institutional knowledge. By contrast, in workplaces with mental health training and supportive management, fewer employees report shame eating into productivity, and fears of judgment sharply decline. That change protects not only health but continuity, a significant business benefit. Some leaders still argue that toughness maintains standards. They frame shame as discipline, assuming it weeds out weaker workers. But short-term competitiveness does not equal sustainable performance. Poll data shows that the most talented employees, those with the easiest options elsewhere, are often the quickest to exit shame-heavy cultures. They leave not because they couldn't cope, but because they see no reason to stay. Over time, companies relying on shame lose their innovators and retain only those who tolerate unhealthy environments. The loss of top talent undermines what these workplaces claim to protect: high performance. What makes the business case for authenticity so strong is that it delivers both soft gains and hard metrics. Employees who feel psychologically safe report better job satisfaction, but they also generate stronger results. Productivity rises not from overextension, but from the removal of energy-draining fear. Engagement improves, turnover slows, and creativity broadens precisely because people are willing to take risks without fear of humiliation. Clients notice responsiveness. Teams adapt quickly to change. Workers are present not just in body but in focus, no longer wasting hours protecting appearances. At its core, the difference is simple. In shame-based systems, employees spend valuable time and energy managing how they appear. In authenticity-based systems, that energy flows directly into work. The research validates this conversion. Workplaces with mental health training cut reported productivity losses nearly in half, 21% compared to 38%, while also reducing fears of judgment by 10 points. That is not a cultural luxury. It's a measurable performance advantage. Less fear means less wasted time. Less posturing means more progress, and that clarity translates into profitability. This is why it's increasingly clear that shame is not a minor HR issue. It's an organizational liability. It increases silence, burnout, and attrition. It erodes trust and stalls decision-making. Cultures that counteract it through training, open communication, and supportive management are not just kinder to work in, they are more competitive. They attract talent, they hold talent, and they gain efficiencies that shame-driven environments can't replicate. The bottom line isn't philosophical, it's financial. The mini payoff is straightforward. Shame-heavy workplaces burn resources. Shame-free ones conserve and compound them. The less time employees spend managing fear, the more time they spend creating value. And when that energy is reclaimed, both workers and organizations move faster toward their goals. This brings us to a deeper insight about what really drives efficiency. Removing shame doesn't just improve culture, it changes how quickly people can work. And the next step is understanding why being yourself often turns out to be the most practical advantage you have. Why being yourself makes you work faster. Most people hear the word authenticity and think it's about comfort, maybe even indulgence. The assumption is that being yourself at work is a privilege you earn only after proving you can handle the real requirements. First, you fit in, follow the style everyone expects, meet the visible standards, and only later, maybe you show up as yourself. But authenticity isn't a luxury. It isn't just about expression. It's one of the most efficient ways to work. Dropping the mask doesn't slow you down. It strips away the friction that eats time and energy without you realizing it. Think about the hours lost to image management. In meetings, you hesitate, rephrase, and edit yourself before speaking. In emails, you rewrite the same line multiple times to make sure it gives the right impression. In reviews, you highlight carefully selected stories because you assume that's what your manager wants to hear, even if it conceals where you produced your real value. Each choice adds hidden steps between thought and action. On paper, you're doing your job, speaking, writing, presenting. In reality, you're siphoning attention into maintaining a persona. Those detours add up, turning 10-minute tasks into half-hour ordeals. This same effort spills into long-term patterns. Pretending to enjoy work you dislike, mimicking styles that don't fit you, continually managing how others perceive you, all of it consumes more energy than the work itself. Living like that is like running in a costume too heavy for the race. The disguise slows you down, but you keep pushing, mistaking the exhaustion for dedication. Many careers run on this kind of hidden overhead, years of energy lost to performance management before the actual job even begins. Authenticity removes this drag. When the question shifts from how does this look to is this useful, decisions move faster. You don't spend hours smoothing out perfectly safe emails or rehearsing harmless comments. You speak directly, work directly, and iterate without needing constant layers of polish. That efficiency isn't because you lowered your standards, it's because you stopped adding extra steps created by fear. In practical terms, you reclaim hours every week that you were quietly spending on appearances. Recovery is another overlooked efficiency. All work involves rejection and critique. A client says no, a manager redraws your plan, a proposal falls flat. If you've tied your self-worth to a persona, those setbacks hit harder. They feel like a collapse not just of the project, but of the role you've been struggling to perform. The drop is deeper, and recovery drags longer. But if you approach the task as yourself, failure lands on the work alone. You can evaluate it without collapsing into self-attack. That clarity makes recovery faster, letting you adapt and re-engage without weeks of hesitation. Now look at the collective cost when these masks dominate a team. Meetings run long because people withhold clear points, hide disagreement behind politeness, or speak in layers of disclaimers. What could have been a direct exchange turns into a slow dance of appearances. In cultures that encourage authenticity and psychological safety, conversations move at a different pace. People speak plainly and respond to challenges without posturing. Disagreements are solved quicker, and fewer follow-up meetings are needed to clarify what wasn't said. The absence of masks creates speed because communication doesn't get stuck in pretense. This is where research lines up with lived experience. Studies highlight that authenticity correlates with reduced stress, stronger engagement, and higher trust. Those conditions matter because they change how long employees stay, how quickly they contribute, and how motivated they remain. Lower turnover and steadier commitment aren't abstract benefits. They translate into projects delivered on time and teams that don't waste cycles replacing talent. Authentic workplaces move faster, not just because individuals save time, but because the system stays stable enough to keep momentum. The paradox is that authenticity looks unstructured, just being yourself, but it creates the strongest consistency. When you no longer perform different versions of yourself for each audience, you don't waste time recalculating what role to play. A steady internal reference point means fewer distractions and quicker choices. Consistency operates like a hidden engine. Small, repeated gains that add up over months into more output, less stress. This also explains why light workloads sometimes create exhaustion. The exhaustion isn't from the tasks, it's from the constant shifting of personality, tone, and presentation to match shifting expectations. That energy drain is invisible on a task list, but you feel it acutely at the end of the day. Removing those costume changes lightens the load. The same easy day no longer feels like heavy labor because the unspoken adjustments have disappeared. Flow is another place where authenticity pays off. Flow depends on alignment, tasks that draw from personal strengths where attention can hold steady. Operating through masks interrupts that alignment. You start, hesitate, second guess, correct for image, and break concentration. What could have been 3 hours of focused progress fragments into intervals of doubt and restarts. Authenticity clears those interruptions. The gap between who you are and how you work collapses, making flow more accessible. More time in flow means more output without feeling forced or frantic. Concrete examples make this clear. Someone who writes every email in exaggerated corporate formality ends up overthinking small exchanges. Once they adopt their natural communication style, still professional but true to their voice, the process becomes fast and clear. Or take creative roles. Designers chasing every new trend can produce acceptable work, but often spend hours duplicating someone else's vision. The moment they work from their authentic style, the hours shrink and the result carries more impact. The overlap of self and task slashes wasted effort. Leadership magnifies this effect. Leaders who cling to rigid personas of authority spend effort maintaining an image. Every decision is filtered through what the role should sound like. Authentic leaders, by contrast, speak openly, admit limits, and decide without pretending. That consistency builds trust, and trust moves teams faster. Confusion drops, follow-up endless questions decline, and alignment strengthens without constant management. Authority built on a persona looks strong. Authority built on authenticity actually delivers results faster and more predictably. The persistence of the comfort myth around authenticity comes from misunderstanding. Many assume being yourself means lowering intensity, coasting, or picking ease over rigor. But the difference isn't in the difficulty of the work, it's in whether you spend energy on the work itself or on resisting it. Authentic challenges remain challenging. What changes is that you face them head-on instead of wasting effort layering doubts, disguises, or protective rehearsals. Speed comes from stripping away detours, not from skipping hard work. The irony, then, is sharp. Modern productivity advice often frames success as squeezing into tighter molds, optimizing habits, regulating weaknesses, matching outside models. Yet that approach often builds cages of performance roles that turn work into drag. Efficiency comes not from perfecting the role, but from discarding it. You already conserve time and energy the moment you stop performing for approval. The most effective version of you isn't the endlessly polished role player, it's the you that doesn't need to pretend. That isn't indulgence. That's the direct route to speed and sustainability. Which leads to the next challenge. Knowing authenticity improves performance doesn't automatically free you from the habits of shame. Those habits run quietly, shaping choices until they feel normal. To change them, you need tools to notice where shame still sneaks in and ways to shift those moments before they absorb your energy again. That shift begins with something surprisingly small, bringing into the open the very patterns shame would prefer to keep hidden. Techniques to break free from shame. Today, breaking free from shame isn't about waiting for a huge breakthrough. It starts with tools you can apply in everyday situations. Shame is persistent, but once you have techniques to call it out and redirect it, you stop giving it the control it thrives on. And when you start applying those tools, small shifts compound into real freedom over time. Shame's first advantage is invisibility. It lingers unspoken, sliding into your thoughts until you start mistaking it for truth. The first technique is to name it. Saying this thought is shame seems basic, but it is pivotal. This is what Brené Brown calls recognizing shame and its triggers. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. When you identify shame clearly, even by saying it aloud or writing it down, you weaken its hiding place. But recognition alone isn't enough. Brown also emphasizes reaching out and speaking it to someone who can listen with empathy. Sharing reduces shame's hold because it forces the critic out of your private loop. Saying, "I feel like I'm not good enough here" to a trusted colleague or friend doesn't amplify the problem, it shrinks it. Empathy is kryptonite for shame. It cannot survive in the light of connection. Still, naming shame or voicing it doesn't clear it away permanently. For many, the inner critic repeats, rehearsing the same loops. I should do more, I'm falling behind, I'm not capable enough. Recognition alone can become a spotlight on the struggle without providing a way out. That's why you need practical methods to interrupt the spiral and shift into a different frame. 3 daily techniques build this skill: self-audit questions, reframe self-talk, and 1 intentionally chosen want task. Each one makes shame stand still long enough for you to move past it. Self-audit questions are short checks you can apply in the moment. They pause shame before it cements into conviction. For example, if you feel guilty stepping away from your desk, pause and ask, am I neglecting something important, or am I preserving my ability to focus when I return? Or when you hesitate to submit work, ask, is this not ready, or am I worried someone will say it isn't good enough? The effect isn't instant freedom, but perspective. These quick questions reveal whether guilt comes from values or from fear of being judged. If it's the latter, you've exposed shame in the act. This is what practicing critical awareness looks like, the ability to test the stories you tell yourself against reality. Reframing self-talk is the second technique. Shame thrives on rigid, identity-based language. I'm failing, I'm broken, I'll never measure up. Small language shifts change how the brain processes setbacks. I missed today's deadline is fact. I'm a failure is shame. Replace it with, I didn't finish this one, but I can reset tomorrow, and suddenly the situation moves from an attack on who you are to feedback on what you did. Over time, this rewires how you respond to challenges. Self-compassion research shows that practicing kindness toward yourself in these reframes doesn't make you complacent, it strengthens resilience. By viewing difficulties as part of growth, setbacks lose their sting and no longer trigger prolonged spirals. Instead of draining your momentum, they feed your capacity to try again. The third technique is to carve out one want-based task every day, something you do out of genuine interest or meaning, not obligation. Shame grows strongest in environments full of shoulds. Entire calendars packed with obligations provide zero counterweight and leave little room for self-driven action. A want task changes that. It doesn't matter whether it's a major project aligned with your core values or a small moment like playing guitar for 10 minutes, sketching, or writing in a notebook for yourself. These tasks are daily proof that your time and energy don't belong solely to external expectations. They are reminders that your values direct your choices. Layered over weeks, this anchors your days with authenticity instead of shame. The strength of these practices isn't in dramatic gestures, but in repetition. Every audit question rescues a little clarity. Every reframe dismantles a piece of shame's false script. Every want task deposits a small token of authenticity into your routine. Over time, the internal voice that once dominated becomes background noise, a critic you notice without obeying. The impact extends into real-world outcomes. In fact, data from 2025 shows that workplaces offering mental health training saw far fewer employees report shame-harming productivity, 21% versus 38%. The same principle plays out individually. When you build tools to counter shame daily, you recover efficiency by patching the leak it creates. To picture this in practice, imagine a standard day. You scan your inbox in the morning and feel the familiar surge of guilt at unanswered messages. Shame tells you to drop everything and power through them all immediately, regardless of what matters most. Instead, you pause for a self-audit. Will I be more effective spreading these across the day than tackling them all at once? That single question undercuts the false urgency. Later, leaving a meeting, you hear the inner voice say, I sounded unprepared. Shame wants you to dwell on it for hours, but reframed self-talk resets the story. I wasn't as clear as I wanted, but I learned something specific to improve next time. And at the end of the day, beyond tasks you felt pressured to do, you give space to a want task, a few minutes developing a skill you chose. With these practices, the day contains not just defenses against shame, but visible evidence that your choices still belong to you. These tools matter for a deeper reason. Without them, shame quietly takes on the role of manager. Think about how many actions at work are driven not by importance, but by imagined judgment. The compulsion to respond instantly to messages stems less from collaboration and more from fear of appearing disengaged. Hours spent over polishing small projects rarely reflect their actual value. They echo the suspicion that anything less than perfection equals failure. Shame doesn't just lower morale, it takes command of your priorities. With tools in place, you reclaim judgment. Audit questions help you identify which actions serve values rather than fear. Reframing language flips the script so shame can't define your identity. A want task reminds you, daily, that your work doesn't exist solely to appease others. Instead of shame as manager, you put authenticity back in charge. Progress won't mean silence from your inner critic. Shame will still speak up. Some days it will still hold ground. But its authority weakens when you recognize and define it. Each time you practice these techniques, you build strength in choosing differently. Over weeks, shame's volume lowers not because it disappeared, but because you recognize its tricks. and the impact is practical. Work once slowed by hesitation flows again. Energy once drained by hidden fear now fuels real progress. Life doesn't become flaw-free, but flaws lose their power to paralyze. The payoff is simple. You move forward without carrying the extra weight.